Before we get started with today's episode, Talk Music Talk has an app. That's right. It's free for iPhone and Android. When you download it, you get every single episode. That means the back catalog plus new shows come out and you will get them automatically in your feed. You can download shows so you can listen to them offline. You can star your favorite episodes. You can also share episodes on social media or email them directly to people. That's right. You can email them directly right from the app. You can get it in iTunes, Google Play, Amazon app. Again, it's free. Just search for Talk Music Talk. Once you subscribe, once you download it, just leave a rating and a review in the store to help spread the word about the show. And now for today's episode. Hello there. Welcome to episode number 92 of Talk Music Talk with Boyce. I am Boyce. This is my podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Talk Music Talk is a weekly music interview podcast where I have long-form discussions with people who are connected to music, amazing people, singers, songwriters, musicians, music journalists, music therapists, music photographers. And on episode number 92, a very special episode, a brief conversation with opera great Martina Arroyo. She is a music legend in opera. That's right, an American soprano, a Harlem native. She initially studied to be a teacher, but in 1958, she auditioned for the Met's Auditions of the Air, which led to an amazing career. In 1989, she officially retired, but she did do one last performance in 1991. In between, in those 30 plus years, she accomplished so much. She has performed all over the world, including over 200 performances at the Met alone, including 3 opening nights. She has worked with conductors like Leonard Bernstein. She has performed the repertoire of Verdi, Mozart, and Strauss, just to name a few. Numerous awards. The NEA gave her an Opera Honors Award in 2010. In 2013, she received the Kennedy Center Honors. In 2003, she founded the Martina Arroyo Foundation, which is a program to foster excellence in young opera singers in an educational setting. A brief conversation with her, along with her music director of the program, Maestro Willie Anthony Waters. He is also the conductor of the current production of La Boheme. We had a conversation right after a performance of it at Hunter College, which is also her alma mater. This is in the lobby in front of the K Playhouse at Hunter. 2 brief conversations adding up to a wonderful half hour on Talk Music Talk. You will enjoy it. I know you will. Here it is, without further ado, Martina Arroyo and Maestro Willie Anthony Waters. Enjoy. When you are beginning to start a production, what are your goals in the beginning?
Well, my goal is to make it as musically, artistically, and as theatrically viable and interesting and exciting as possible. There are many operas that we do. Some are more interesting than others. Some are more exciting than others. Some are inherently, more exciting, like, a Tosca, for example, or a Turandot, or even a Bohème. And we just try to be true to the composer, first of all, and to make them as interesting and exciting to the audiences as we possibly can, because after all, it's the audiences who are paying to hear us perform, and it's our job to do these operas the best that we can.
Okay, so how do you go about making it the most exciting?
Well, I believe in you begin with the score, because the composer has done a lot of the work for you, and the notes are there, the music is there, a lot of the dramatic and theatrical intent is there, and so the exciting thing for us here in this program is to get it from what I call from the page to the stage. Okay. Taking it from the composer's intentions in the score, and then getting the kids come with the notes and everything learned, and hopefully with some ideas already as to how they want to interpret the roles. And our job is to shape and mold and to give them, to help them find their own place within these roles, within these characters, because they obviously are not those individuals.
Yeah.
And so it's theater, it's acting, and so we want to try to find them where they are, bring them from where they are to where we want them to be and where we think they should be, and that's where our professional experience and wherewithal comes into play.
Okay. And how long does it usually take before the production from practicing?
Never long enough.
Okay.
But our program is 6 weeks long.
Okay.
One of the things that helps us, hopefully, is the fact that the kids, the young performers come already prepared.
Okay.
With the notes and the words learned, so we can mold them and shape them, from that point of view.
Okay. And what are you looking for in the actors?
Well, we basically look for a total package. I mean, it's not enough anymore to just be a good singer or to have a good voice.
Okay.
You've got to be a communicator. There's the slogan. There's the slogan, if you see something, say something. And I've sort of modified to say, if you sing something, say something.
Okay.
Because if you're not communicating with the audience, then it's all pointless, and one of the great things about what we do, which is different from the orchestras and from ballet, is that we have words. We have words. We have texts that need to be gotten over to the audience. And so that's an important part of what we do and what we do here to try to get the kids to, because a lot of people can sing in sing world, but singing and projecting text through the voice is with expression and emotion and all of those kinds of things. That's our goal here.
Okay. Because how much of that can you teach if someone...
Well, it depends. I mean, sometimes you can teach a lot. Sometimes you can't teach as much. It depends on the individual. And, most people in the business who do what I do, coaches and conductors, find many different ways of approaching things. No two people are alike. Everybody has a different way of learning. Everybody has a different approach to the way they do things. And so in working with them, you find the best way that means more to them.
Okay.
And so, and then you take it from there and you try to take them then to the next level, so that they eventually will get to the place where you want them to be.
Okay. So even for a play like for the opera, do you try to put your stamp on it in any way? Or?
Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, yes. I mean, because I have very strong ideas about everything that I want. I mean, I've studied the composers. I've studied, their works, all of their works. A lot of the kids who will have come to this program have probably only studied this one opera.
Okay.
But like with Bohème, Puccini wrote 12 operas. I've conducted 11 of the 12 operas. So I have some background with Puccini in terms of his style, the background of the operas, the social and historic situations that surrounded it. So my job is to bring a lot of that to them, to expose them to that so that it will help them inform what they do.
So what would you say is your style?
Well, there is no one style.
Okay.
I mean, every composer has a different style, whether it's German, whether it's Italian, whether it's French, English, or whatever. And whether it's the classical period or Mozart or the romantic period, Puccini, or earlier romantic period with Verdi or Donizetti. And everybody has a different style. But ultimately, my goal is for the parts to be sung as well as they can be sung and to be acted as well as they can be acted. Today, the singing actor is the thing. I mean, there have been singing actors all along, but not as consistently as they have to be today. I mean, you have to be able to act and sing. The day of the standing, we call it park and bark, is over. I mean, you really can't make a big career anymore if you're doing that.
Why has that changed?
Well, I think Hollywood has had a lot to do with it, certainly in terms of appearance, but also audiences have become more sophisticated, and as they see more theater, more drama, you watch television and you see, things that are vividly, that hit you in the face, and so when people go to the theater, they expect that too.
Okay.
So we can't just, I mean, it's beautiful music and that's all well and good, but it's a story to be told. And so this story has to be told very well and very clearly by us on the stage in order for the audiences to get it and to appreciate it.
Okay. Is there a different objective for an audience when they're coming to a university or school to see a production?
Well, maybe not a different objective, but the level is different. I mean, students are students, professionals are professionals. And yes, we have some students who are young professionals who who are more advanced. Some are more advanced than others, but there's no question that the level that we have here is different from the level of the New York City Opera, certainly the Metropolitan Opera, which is the pinnacle. So yeah, there is a difference, and people should not expect that this is going to be. I mean, what we do here, I think, is very good. I think it's excellent, on its own level. But it cannot be expected to be the Metropolitan Opera, and people understand that, and I think they get that.
Is that the sort of the next step for a professional? Well,
maybe not so much the Met these days. I mean, the Met is obviously the pinnacle still for a lot of people, but it is not that. Only the Metropolitan as it used to be years ago, because there's so many other opera companies now in the United States. Okay. For example, in 1970, there were only about 20, 30 professional opera companies. By 1980, there were over 100. So there are lots of places now for young singers to make their mark, to get experience and to, well, not to become stars, but to get experience as professional opera singers. The Met is obviously the Met, La Scala, Covent Garden, those major opera companies throughout the world, San Francisco, Chicago, in this country, are obviously the ultimate goal. But the fact is, you can make a really good career and an important career not singing in those companies necessarily, but those are the pinnacles in this country.
And how do you know when you have succeeded with a student or a production?
Well, after the performance is over. I mean, you can't really tell by audience applause, because audiences are generally, pretty easygoing and accepting of what you do and appreciative of what you do. But you have to have an artistic sense about yourself after, years of experience and years of seeing other things and knowing that there is a standard, there's a level at which, we must rise and that we try to attain. You sit and you watch it, you see the rehearsal process, you get through the rehearsal process, you get to the finals, and then you get to the performances. And then certainly once you get to the place where we are, whether it's a good performance, whether it's a bad performance, there's something that can always be improved, improved upon. But, when it has all worked. The audience reaction is sometimes an arbiter. I mean, but for us, that shouldn't always be the only arbiter, because we have to know within ourselves that we have done well, that we have served the composer well, that we've served the production well, and that we've communicated to our audience. So it's an individual thing in addition to the other.
Okay, great. Well, thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Sure. I appreciate this.
Good. Thank you.
I think Willie has covered almost every part of what we do, except that my class, because we have classes as well as performances with rehearsals for performances. I talk about the character before you meet them in the opera. We say before page 1, we talk about what's going on in that country, that vicinity, politically as well as socially. We try to talk about what that person would be like when you meet them, not before you've done the staging for that opera, but who do you meet to begin with, because you build on that character. Okay. And that's so often neglected. You say, well, what kind of family did you have? And they look at you as if, did I have a family? Okay. Well, you just didn't spring into existence. And after we started doing that, it became one of the fun parts, because they hadn't done that work, and when they do it, they realize that they are already a character that they're going to build on. But of course, they build on as the stage director directs them and guides them. But you still don't feel like an empty glass. You come in feeling like you've been living for a few years, and therefore I'm already a personality of some sort. Okay. And you build on that, hopefully. And then we work a lot of the languages, the colors of the words. So it's one thing to just memorize another language. It's another thing to really understand what the words mean and what the idioms are, which very, very often change how you translation from whatever language into English. So we have someone who takes care of that part of it too. It's very intense. And it's not easy for them to have to think in another language, sing in another language, know what they're saying, and some of them are singing in a third language, because some come from places where English is not spoken. Many of them, as a matter of fact. So they work very, very hard to then put color into the words that they've learned, and and to learn how to say it, and you hope that remains. But when they go through many different sections of learning a role, they don't really have time to get it all in their minds. You have 20 things to think of. And it doesn't all come back together. But it takes time.
Okay.
So very often we don't see what they're going to do. We see that there's improvement. We see that they're trying to understand. But it takes time to digest and try it. And try to see, can you say that word another way, but with the tempo of yet another conductor or the directions of yet another director? It takes a long time. But if you treat it as good work, fun work, because if you have your talent, you realize how much you can do with it. You'd be surprised how often we don't get bored with the work that we have to do. They don't get bored with finding out that there's so much that they have to do, and we're asking them to do it in a short period of time. So we often don't see what's going to happen to that character and that singer in our performance. We see it sometimes down the road, a couple of years, a little bit by bit, with other people helping as well. But also we have the advantage of having that other person that they're singing to respond to how they sing it, how they say it, how they read it, and then give back. So it's not always the same.
So is that your preparation?
That's my part of it. I have role class.
Okay.
Yes.
When you were performing, was that your preparation for roles?
Even different, because I started with singing Lita, so we used to make little scenes and interpretation of the songs. And using our pianist as the other characters,
okay.
And that is she is, or he is the other character, because the accompaniment, the orchestral part of the song, meaning that it has a role to play, a big role to play, and you have to know what that role is, and you have to work together and interpret the song. So I started small. Okay. And worked into the opera, and had a different situation. I didn't have the time, 6 weeks, to prepare an opera. Sometimes, very often, I was just thrown into a part with no rehearsal, and so you got to in a 3-hour rehearsal bring all of these things into your character. But if you go to a program like this, it's not so hard. It's not so strange. You're ready for it. You know who you are in that character, so you've got a head start. And he's hoping that that's when they really use the material they're learning now.
Okay. When did you decide that you wanted to have a foundation to be able to help students with what you know?
It was so much that I decided to have a foundation. So that as I grew as older, I realized that many of the things I wanted to happen with my voice and with the character didn't, because I didn't prepare the same way. I also learned the music and sometimes jumped in or got just one day's rehearsal, and felt, when I did start working with directors that brought some of that out, like Tito Capobianco and Lotfi Mansouri. I always call these people because they were my teachers. I sang with many other directors who said, go right, go left, for goodness sakes, don't fall in the orchestra pit. But these people made me think and work slowly, building the character and sounding best. I thought, my goodness, the others are not getting this sort of thing, how nice it would be. So we just got together and started with a small class. And then we said, well, we better get on a stage and see how this works. And then we said, well, we need an orchestra. And then, now we need this, now we need that. Now our organization has grown to a point that we even give stipends. Okay. Because before, the young people had to pay a little bit of money. And we're so lucky to have them. The K Theater as a gift from the Hunter College, which is my alma mater, and my high school alma mater as well. So we're growing. We don't think we're 100% there. There's still many, many things we want to do and need to do. As a matter of fact, we're going to have a meeting about next year, and I know we're going to be saying, but how can we do that? Where are we going to get the money from? We need money desperately. Because the more we have and the more we can assure that we can afford, then the more we can give to the young people. And there's much more we want to give to them. So as long as Willie stays well for the next 10 years, and I just stay here for the next 10 years, and Mark Rucker, who runs this part of the program, like a master, even though he's still singing himself, we want to do this for everybody. We have the people from all over the world. I'm very serious, from South Africa through the United States, through Europe. It's amazing how popular this program has become.
As you were transitioning you retired, was that something you knew you wanted to do?
Oh, I knew I wanted to retire much sooner, because when you do nothing but sing on the road and you have the few friends that you call your friends from place to place, but most of the time you have stay with a few people for a week, if that long, and you're on your way. If you're lucky, you have a husband or someone to be with you and have as company, but I wanted to be home and with a family for a while. I think a woman also needs a home. I'm not so sure it's the same with men. But so I married a wonderful man who just died recently, 5 years ago, but it's recent for me. And we wanted dogs, so we got 3 dogs right away. I wanted home, and I still wanted to sing, and I love working with the young people. I would give up those years of performing if I had known that I could do what we're doing now 50 years ago.
Okay, really?
Oh, yes, the feeling. Of course, I can say that if I want to, but I had the beautiful career, so it's there. And I loved it and appreciate it, but I must say that working with these young people just make you want to get up in the morning.
What part of your career did you enjoy the most?
When I was singing very well.
Yeah, okay.
I enjoyed when I was singing with colleagues that I knew and that we got to know each other and work on stage, and I think that was what I enjoyed most. Working together.
Okay.
Coming in and just singing something and going out and not knowing who your tenor was not fun. Yeah. But it was a part of it, and they have to be prepared to do that too. They're not going to always have a cushy 6-week session to get to know your colleagues and to get to know your work together and to make mistakes together. You have to come in and it's got to be ready.
And what would you like the students to know the most, to learn the most from the program?
I'm sorry?
What would you like the students to learn the most from the program, or if there was one thing?
The word is extremely important. The music is, of course, wonderfully important, but if the music with the word gives you the complete sentence and the complete idea, it develops the character for people to know who you are as well as how you sing and what you do.
So more than just a pretty voice.
Oh, that's the least of your please. There are people with voices that are not pretty at all, but they say something, and you'd rather listen to them. And there are voices that are gorgeous, and you're sitting there thinking of your laundry, but loving the voice. That's not, Yeah. But I prefer the one that keeps you involved and not take you to your laundry.
Okay, that's a good thing. Okay,
thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate this.
My pleasure.
And there you have it, Martina Arroyo and Maestro Willie Anthony Waters here on Talk Music Talk. For more information on Miss Arroyo and her foundation and her music, head on over to martinaarroyo.com, MartinaArroyo.com. A special thanks to past TMT guest, opera expert Fred Plotkin, for making this interview possible in the first place, and also a very special thanks to Sadie Rucker for setting it up and for the logistics. As for me, you can find me online several places, talkmusictalk.com, where you can find out more information on the podcast. Also, thisisvoice.com. I am a novelist and a singer-songwriter, so you can check out my music and books there. And if you are on Instagram, make sure to follow me at This Is Voice. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to download the free app for your iPhone or Android, wherever you get your apps. After subscribing, please leave a rating and or review to help spread the word about the podcast. Thank you so much for listening to this very, very special episode. Till next time, and there will be a next time. This one's for you, Liz.